Always the first to cast his ballot, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has called on people to vote wisely in elections to choose a new parliament and assembly of experts. The success of leader Hassan Rouhani's 2017 presidential bid could be determined by the outcome of this, the Islamic Republic's first vote since the signing of a historic nuclear deal. President's policies. This activist says the importance of this round of elections is that the lines are clear. You can tell reformists from conservatives, and, well, we'll go and vote for the reformists. More than 6,000 candidates have been approved to stand in the parliamentary election. Among them is this reformist. We made history when President Rouhani was elected in 2013, he says. It was a day of change, and we have to continue this trend to be able to achieve his plans. The outcome of the vote on the 88-member assembly, Iran's top clerical body, is expected this weekend. Control of the 290-seat parliament could take until April to decide, our correspondent added. In these elections, reformists and moderates have formed a coalition in the hope of winning back the majority from the conservatives, who've held it for 3 consecutive terms.
Voting is underway in the Republic of Ireland as the country elects 157 new members of its parliament. The outgoing government was a coalition between Fine Gael, the largest political party, and the Labour Party. The coalition has been in power since March 2011. Challengers include the largest opposition party, Fianna Fáil, and Sinn Féin.
Well, we'd like to see change. I'd like to see more openness in government. I'd like to see more equality across the spectrum for all people. And I'd like to see situation solved with the housing crisis.
We always felt that we were very badly treated and that the last cent was just milked from us. So we weren't happy around that either. So I would like to see a change in some format, maybe Social Democrats and a government that will listen to the people.
Polls suggest support for the Labour Party, the current junior coalition partner, has collapsed. Fine Gael, it's said, have let their wide lead slip. Their combined vote has dipped to between 37 and 33%.
Turkey has freed 2 prominent journalists after the country's top court ruled that their detention had violated their rights. Can Dundaş, the editor-in-chief of Cumhuriyet newspaper, and Erdem Gül, the paper's Ankara bureau chief, have been released pending their trial in March on espionage charges. We think it's a historic ruling by the Constitutional Court. This ruling has paved the way for freedom of the press and freedom of speech. The courts prove that they're not bound by the palace. It will open the way for a press that won't be under pressure from the palace. We are getting out, but this doesn't mean that the dispute over jailed journalists is over. We still have friends in prison. Our struggle for them must continue. Our unity against pressure on the media should continue. The 2 journalists are facing charges of aiding a terrorist organization and jeopardizing state security, after Cumhuriyet published reporting and videos that it said showed Turkish intelligence officials transporting arms to rebels in Syria in 2014.
Visiting Mexico, the U.S. vice president has apologized for the tone of some of his country's presidential campaign rhetoric. Joe Biden told his audience in Mexico City that some comments have been damaging and incredibly inaccurate.
I feel almost obliged to apologize for some of what my political colleagues have said. It is about Mexico, about the Mexican people. It's a heated campaign season, and I just want you to know, Mr. President, that the most heated of the rhetoric you've heard from some of the competitors for the nomination for president is not who we are as the American people.
Measures proposed include building a wall along the entire U.S.-Mexico border and deporting the estimated 11 million people who live in the United States illegally.
Mexico is just killing us at the border and with trade. Mexico is killing us, absolutely. We'll do the wall. Don't worry, we're going to do the wall. We're going to do the wall, and by the way, Who's going to pay for the wall? Mexico's going to pay for the wall.
There's been criticism in both countries of attempts to use the migrant worker question as a US campaign issue. Biden reassured officials the comments are not an accurate reflection of US relations.
The overwhelming majority of Iranians are Shiite Muslims, with numbers as high as 80% of the population. Zoroastrians, Jews and Christians, including Assyrian, Chaldean and Armenian, make up 2%. They are the only religious minorities free to practice their religion under state law, and they are represented in Parliament. With around 15,000 in the capital and more across the country, Iran has the largest Jewish minority in the Islamic world. The community will take part in the elections as they consider it their national duty. We have direct representation for the minorities, but we can only vote for one of the two candidates that have been approved by the Guardian Council. In Tehran, there are 10 synagogues. The Abrishami synagogue is located in central Tehran. It has a capacity to hold 500 people and is a focal point for Jewish families in Tehran. Firstly, we appreciate the Iranian officials that have allowed all the minorities to have at least one seat in the parliament. And we really appreciate this. Christians are the largest religious minority in Iran, with approximately 250,000 in the country. By far the largest Christian group are the Armenians. They have a relationship with Iran stretching back to 300 BC. All over the world, in all societies, nothing is perfect, and Iran is no exception. Well, sometimes there have been problems, for example, about the issue of blood money. Fortunately, the issue is solved. As far as legal concerns go, we take them case by case. I cannot say that Armenian rights are respected 100%. It's the same for Iranians. Sometimes they're respected. But in general, in terms of social issues, schools and churches, they are still active. There's been no problem practicing our religion. Day-to-day decision-making within the community is carried out by the Caliphate Council of Armenians, which is the highest authority overseeing religious, political, cultural and social issues. Karen Kanlari is an Armenian MP and is standing for re-election. Despite their representation in Parliament, it is difficult for minorities to reach higher office. When President Rouhani had just taken office, I proposed 4 individuals for different deputy minister and advisory posts in education, higher education and energy, etc. There were discussions about who these individuals were and whether they had the required expertise, etc. There is hope. We'll keep trying. Our correspondent in Tehran is Javad Montazeri. After the revolution, religious minorities had to commit to Islamic rules and regulations. They're banned from promoting their religion outside their communities, but they are allowed to worship in their language and observe religious traditions.